what's gonna be in there for units, and that's unacceptable.
That's not
when
true.
we're-
That's not true.
That's what I
You
heard.
have
It's too
34
speculative.
affordable units in there, sir. And it's what's been approved by the planning board to go into that project.
But how many one bedrooms, how many two bedrooms?
It's in the agreement. It's part of the package.
And my contention would be that's enough information to say what a low cost to the town would be and what a high cost to the town would be. And I wanna say, as recently as the last select board meeting, I incorrectly argued with somebody from the town who again was telling me, what we're getting here is what South Berwick has. This is not what South Berwick has.
That's very
This
odd.
is not, and when you bring in housing and you cap the amount that the occupants can own, unfortunately, there is no incentive to go to work, because as you work, you lose your housing. And that's what you're bringing to Berwick.
We'll be wrapping this up here, take a couple more over again. Ms. Levine, you have to, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, go
I'm
ahead.
actually leaving, but I just wanna say, you guys seem like nice gentlemen, but this whole plan stinks.
True.
Dave Stolpe. Oscar kind of opened my eyes on one specific thing. Can we clarify in Schedule A what the excluded premises is? When you look at the school premises, 93,101 square feet, very specific. Development area, 338,909 square feet. And all of a sudden you get to the excluded premises, 5,000. Is that a number that was picked out to make all of the other numbers work, or? Because if you measured off everything in that building, I'm pretty sure it's more than 5,000, and it's not exact. Not to the 1 foot like the other ones is. Is that doable?
That's a good question. Yeah, it's a good question.
Okay. Thank you.
So to reiterate part of what that woman said as she left, I've actually sat where you guys are sitting, and I have great sympathy for you. I've built malls in towns that don't want them. Then I came back and built the second one, which they wanted less. So it's not your organization, your way of doing things that's at question here. It's really, and now turn to you guys. If you need these to pass, I think what everybody's trying to tell you is they need to be clearer. Otherwise, you're going to get no's across the board, and I think that's a disservice to the work that these guys have put into it over, I didn't realize it was 3 years, but, and I would disagree respectfully that I understand the legal terms. I understand the application of them. But I would think the way Article 3 is written, the lease agreement and related documents, I believe you could draw a dotted line to the title being conveyed as a related document because it's put the project in hardship, giving this group in executive session the ability to make a decision by your own words is only possibly transpired by the legislature, the public. So I would ask, with all due respect to you guys, if you want these to pass, I don't see them passing, because, and I don't know if you take everything everybody's saying, nobody's writing anything down, but, no offense. All right, I know you write everything down. That's why I don't use bad words. But if you really want these to pass, I don't think there's no strength of language, and I mean, no offense, you admitted to drafting the warrant articles. I just think that without intention, you've created a very broad area that is going to mean a lot lot of discomfort for the voters. First and foremost, it's going to be very easy for people to say, I don't like the whole deed thing. Article 2 is gonna go. Well, Article 3, we'll give them the right to lease it, because that's still good for the town. And that's where it gets frayed. So, I'm sorry for what you're going through, but it's because the language is weak, the language is broad, and at the risk of offending people, I think it's been made clear that as a group, you've done things that haven't been in the best interests of the town. And you've defended them as legal, but that doesn't mean they were in the best interest of the town. So I think that's where the suspicion is.
I'd like to say one more thing that I brought up. Tom asked about insurance, and that was liability insurance at $3 million. But then going over into casualty insurance, there's no amount in there. Would you have to wait for that till after the building is completed to get it, or?
What we have as part of our financing, Maine Housing Authority and our construction lender require us to have a replacement value equal to our construction cost. So we will have a insurance policy equal to the full replacement value of that as part of the financing terms. So really what the town's looking to for protection is protection for slip and falls or someone walking on the property and whatnot. And that's where that $3 million clause comes in. So if someone walks on the property and slips and falls on something, there's a liability claim to that amount.
Well, I understand that, but I also think the town should be interested in if the place burns down.
And that's correct, our underlying financing, you're paying those dollars to actually put
Do
those,
the town,
requires insurance to be placed on that. And I believe the lease actually, I'm not sure if it calls it specifically out, it requires us to have insurance to insure the facility itself, not just the casualty insurance. And the insurance level for the replacement value for a fire, an earthquake, or damage is, that amount is set by our lender who actually is providing those construction dollars. So it's equal to a full replacement value of the building, which at this point I believe is, has been deemed at $4.8 million for the construction value, for that replacement value.
so the town is covered if,
You have it both
no
ways.
matter what happens.
You have, that's correct, you
I
have it
mean,
both ways.
I know, the liability, anyone
That's correct.
understands liability. The casualty, when we.
It's like when you have, if you're a renter of a property and you have someone coming in, you have your overall liability insurance for the facility, but then the renter has renter's insurance. That's essentially the same coordination here. We're having renter's insurance for the entire building, that for the life of the project, that will ensure full replacement of that facility if something could happen.
Okay, that answers
Does
that.
that
Thank you.
help clarify?
I'm taking one more, we gotta move on here. Go ahead.
Yeah, just one quick comment, because I finally did the math on the square footage of the community center itself, that's when I was in that building, we measured it, and it's 40 by 60 if I'm not mistaken. The building in itself then is 2,400 square feet, and it's a lot smaller than the rest of the structures out there, so there's no way that 5,000 feet is gonna cover all that building. So somebody's calculations actually good in business.
Okay, I'm gonna close down, comment on the, what are you looking for now?
We need to entertain a motion in a second on the warrant. And approve the signing of the warrant, so we then can hold the open town meeting on the 24th.
So moved.
Discussion.
Yes. I understand that once this is signed, no wording can be changed. And this is what is gonna be on the ballot,
That is correct.
and I understand all that. However, I really would like to see it made clearer. So that the people that have spoken here tonight and some of their concerns put in there. Because I just think they have a right to feel as though that they wanna be comfortable when they're signing over some of the town land. Because we as a board cannot sell an inch of this town, which is, thank God we can't. But I would like to have them comfortable with the fact that we're signing over that for 180 days. There's no way we can do that?
Well, we have Alan here, so maybe this is a great question that we can ask at this point. I mean, if the selectmen go ahead and sign the warrant, then that provides the mechanism that we begin the process of proper notices to the fact that we're going to have an open town meeting to discuss those articles. Would it be your view that at an open town meeting, that those articles could be modified? If there's votes taken to change them, or will they have to be acted upon as they're written?
It's a good question. I'm not sure I can answer that right off the top of my head. I think that there are certain things that can be modified on the town meeting floor, and I'd have to look at the special town meeting language.
Or they can be amended? Any
I would
article in
think
town
it
meeting
could
can be amended?
Right, I think it could be amended. But really what you're talking about, and I hear what people are saying, I mean, there's certainly out of this group, some skepticism about giving the selectmen too much authority, I understand that. But the language that's drafted was to try to avoid having to go back to a town meeting vote again if there had to be a change in the lease. One of the gentlemen brought up a very good point about the 5,000 square foot designation on this, and I suspect that that's not accurate. It would have to be something that's, I think it points to the two buildings to shows that these are the excluded premises, so I think that it's clear enough, but there is that number would need to be looked at. So tomorrow, I'm going to speak with the Bateman's attorney, who hired Northeast Civil Solutions, and ask them how they calculated the 5,000. So if we had a warrant article that said you're going to adopt this lease as Exhibit A, and Exhibit A with a date on the lease is available in the town's clerk's office, that's the only thing you can sign, if that's what the warrant article says. So, maybe out of an exercise of all the caution, I put the extra language in there, saying that it's upon terms and conditions that you feel are in the town's best interest, just in case these last minute changes came up. I'm just still a little reluctant to tell you that you should vote to get authority to sign a specific lease, because I had a conversation with Ron Wood this morning, because Bangor Savings Bank financing requires the town to sign a subordination agreement, and if I start explaining this, your head's gonna start rolling, because it took 3 explanations from Ron, and I had to read some of it to understand what it is. In the end, it's fine. I don't think the town is harmed at all by agreeing to it, but it was something that Bangor Savings Bank would require the town to sign. And if we didn't have the authority for you to sign these additional documents, then there could be questions about whether you had the authority to do it. There's a lot of distrust here in this board, in this country. It's all over the place, and I understand that. But it's very difficult to get to a point where, you're talking about a specific document, and given the complexity of the financing, to leave it to the point where, we say this is all the selectmen can sign associated with this. So I think, unfortunately, you have to have it be vague and open, but, understand it's not written to give the selectmen some authority to do some backdoor deal where the first article doesn't pass and you can't convey title, and then you're gonna use the second article to convey it. I just, can't imagine that's, people are gonna believe that would happen. But nevertheless, people, hey, yeah, no, I understand, I hear what you're saying, so I understand people's perception, of reality, and perception becomes reality if that's what everybody believes. But nevertheless, we're having to draft things in a way to make it legal. This is what it looks like. You can change the language, but to get back to what you're saying, Eleanor, I don't know what language you would want them to change on the town meeting floor that would make these people comfortable. Some of them would be comfortable no matter what language you use, because they're not happy with the project, so that's really not the issue. But I'm not sure what you would be amending on the town meeting floor that would make a difference to certain people, unless you had the lease and said, this is the lease we're gonna sign, and every, and
call it amendments to these articles, then they have to be voted on.
Right,
So,
the
you
amendment
know,
has to be voted on, right?
Yeah, they have to be voted on, and they're voted up or down. And so, I mean, it at least would give everybody at that town meeting the right to express what they like, and just might come up with some darn good reasoning.
Well, I think the answer is, you know, I believe you can make those amendments to the warrant articles on the floor, but I can't tell you for certain without at least being able to look at some statutes to make sure that.
I've never seen a warrant, a town meeting warrant, you couldn't amend, or even, you know, in the legislature, we amended things and tore them apart and did everything else, and no matter what came up, you could amend things.
No, I understand.
With a vote of the majority.
Yeah,
You have to
I mean,
vote
it
of
certainly
the
sounds
majority.
logical, and I would tell you that it sounds like you'd be able to do that. But I think you also have to think ahead as to what would be the kind of amendments. I think what these people are saying is, they wanna see the document that the town's gonna sign because they don't wanna leave anything open-ended.
Well, I do think they have a right to see the deed before we,
Yeah, the deed's not the problem. The deed conveys title, the legal description, there's nothing, that is unusual about the deed. It's just a transfer of title and a transfer back. But certainly you can make that available.
but I think they wanna see the wording of it, which I can understand.
Yep, sure, I understand.
You know, Alan, one question I just had for you is one thing we've heard very clear tonight, that you'd like a clear bifurcation of warrant article number 2 and warrant article number 3. And I think one thing that we could agree to right now, and hopefully add into language, while you're proposing the vote on these 3 warrants, is simply adding into warrant 3, that in no such manner, if warrant 2 fails and warrant 3 passes, that you folks could transfer the deed, that we could add that type of language in. Is that something that would make the townsfolk more comfortable? We'd have no intention of doing one without the other, so to speak. So it would be very fair to put that in warrant number 3. You understand what I'm saying, is that?
Well, if we can't do it tonight, we could do it as an amendment.
And I guess what I was asking Alan is tonight might be the most appropriate time, you're voting in the language to be out there. So at this point in time, you go ahead and add to warrant 3, right in that language, simply being that this does not allow a transfer of deed.
But I don't think we can change these warrants tonight.
Yes, you can,
Oh, we
absolutely.
can.
Yeah, tonight is your night where you're determining the language of the warrant article. It's gonna be voted on a week from tomorrow night.
And that way you can clearly bifurcate the 2 warrants and make sure that the answer that's been asked repetitive times, if warrant 2 fails, warrant 3 doesn't give you folks the right to then go back and transfer deed. And I think that's a clear question that's been asked. We would be amenable to having you folks add that language in.
Okay, now, and we would add it on to which
Warrant 3.
article? Article 3. And if article, that's right, because if article 2 fails.
Need to come up with some language, and then we're gonna have to,
Alan, you earn your time tonight.
You know, it's hard, I'm here. Well,
No, just plain that language, if article 2 fails, it does not give the board of selectmen the right to, pass article 3. To pass,
Or vice versa, if article 2 fails, article 3 doesn't get the right to pass article 2.
yeah, it doesn't give the board the right to pass article 2.
That's correct.
right, I understand all that, but before you sign that document tonight, I'm gonna wanna have a clean, fresh copy in front of you. So
Okay.
we're gonna have to take a recess and make sure that whatever language we add is placed on it, and then we'll bring that document back and you can then sign it.
And didn't mean to confuse things.
It's fine.
well, we could add a sentence on Article 3 that
Joe, you
says.
put your hand down, we're not taking any comment right now.
Just from the outside, people
Excuse
who
me.
are running the
Excuse me.
town, no townspeople.
Excuse me,
I'm leaving, thank you, I see
Well,
where this
thank
is
you.
going.
thank you,
Let everybody else from
Thank
out of
you.
the town tell you what to do.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, we could put in Article 3, the specific sentences says, this article shall not give the selectmen the authority to convey title if Article 2 does not pass.
talking about the conveyance. We wouldn't have the authority to convey title at all.
Probably have copies of those.
Right, I mean, I've given my opinion that I would tell you as the town attorney, you have no authority, but if the Board of Selectmen think that it would be clearer to add another sentence to this, it's certainly easy enough to do that.
Okay.
And to me, if Article 2 doesn't pass, then
You guys wanna look at that before the clerk and I go over and retype it?
it says this article, and this is the language in Article 3, this article shall not give the selectmen the authority to convey title if Article 2 does not pass. One sentence.
Wanna read it again,
Yes, this article shall not give the selectmen the authority to convey title if Article 2 does not pass.
We all set? Are there any other questions that we need to ask the board
No.
members? You have a motion and a
We have
second.
one second, any discussion or any more questions to Alan?
And let me also say one other thing. I don't know how much good it will do, but, now that people have expressed their opinion, I could tighten up the language upon terms and conditions that the selectmen deem to be in the town's best interest. I can say that the selectmen will be given the authority to sign the lease as drafted and presented at this meeting in its substantial form, and the selectmen shall have the authority to make minor changes, but not change it in any substantive way. Now, I'll word that better, but in other words, it would give, I'm not sure you're gonna comfort this crowd, but I think you could at least take care of that particular issue, that lease is going to be the lease you sign, and the only thing that would change would be minor changes. And I don't know if that would help make the selectmen feel better that this is,
I would suggest that the written material be typed and copied and copies given to all of us so that we can take a firm look in hard writing. I think that could be done now.
We have no choice. We have to do it.
We have,
Right.
tonight is the last
So it might be an ideal time if somebody was brought a second and a motion, is to take a recess, but at this point, get that done
We're playing.
and come back, and then we'll move
do
forward.
you have this in a Word document on your system?
Yes, it's right on Judy's computer. We can go right over it.
Judy, your computer's
I
still on?
just feel more
I'll go
comfortable
turn it
doing
on.
that way. That's
Yeah,
all. I think.
And again, yes, I think I can tighten that language up and make it so it's primarily this lease with only minor, non-substantive changes.
Okay. The second and first
Yep.
bit has been withdrawn.
Yep.
We want a short recess. Well, we want to put the ducks.